Hi and welcome back to my channel. If this is the first time that you're tuning in, my name is Tori, and here on my channel I'm going to be talking about all things related to fitness, health, and nutrition for moms, whether you've recently had a baby or it's been years. Today I'm going to be spilling the beans on how I got a flatter stomach and a stronger core after having a VBAC with my second baby and before I got pregnant with my first child. Now, I had planned to have an all-natural home birth with my first child, but when I went into labor, he ended up being footling breech, which turned into an emergency C-section. I was amazed that the overall recovery from such major abdominal surgery was actually pretty simple. I didn't have any complications, but I didn't have a lick of abdominal strength after my C-section. I'm a former ballerina, so for the first time in my life, I felt wobbly and unstable, and my back hurt all the time. I got back to my regular workout routine just 6 weeks postpartum after my doctor cleared me, but it still took me about a year to get back to where I was fitness level wise, though I never fully closed the gap of my diastasis or got rid of that lower mommy pooch, and I never really reconnected with my pelvic floor like I wanted. My second baby was born all natural VBAC in our local birth center, and recovery was a dream. I was up and walking hours after delivery, and I got back to exercise just 4 weeks postpartum. Now, after my VBAC, I did still have about a 1.5 degree of diastasis recti, and I was determined to close it completely and also to reconnect with my pelvic floor in a way that I wasn't able to do with my C-section. I'm going to walk you through exactly what I did to close my diastasis and get my body back just 3 months postpartum. And now, right off the back, I want to acknowledge that something that I did right that really helped with labor and delivery as well as postpartum recovery is that I maintained a really healthy lifestyle before I got pregnant. I ate real and whole foods, I exercised regularly, and I practiced proper sleep hygiene. And I was able to continue those practices throughout my pregnancy. The exercises I'm going to walk you through really have given me a stronger core than I've ever had before, but my recovery time took less because I was in a healthy state to begin with. While I do have a flat stomach and a strong core, I don't have washboard abs, and I'm not promising that at the end of these exercises that you're going to develop washboard abs in 3 months or less. The exercises I'm going to walk you through are designed to help you close the gap of your diastasis and develop a strong core that's capable of really stabilizing your spine. Having said that, before we get started, I want to acknowledge that there's kind of this unfair pressure on women to bounce back to their pre-pregnant shape or size as soon as the baby is born, and it's not fair and it's not healthy. Growing a baby takes a lot of work. It's amazing that God has given women the privilege to co-create human life with Him. It's not like we just speak life into existence like He did back in Genesis. During pregnancy, a woman's body grows an entirely new organ that's not present when she's not pregnant. Her skin and her muscles stretch and expand inside and out to accommodate this growing life. Her joints and her ligaments relax to allow for the baby to pass through the birth canal. It's ridiculous to think that your lifestyle and your body are expected to snap back the moment that baby is born. It's not to say you cannot have a beautiful and strong body after baby, but it's okay if it doesn't look the same. My goal is to inspire women, and especially new moms, to love and take care of their postpartum bodies and to help uncover the incredible strength that is already within you. Having said all of that, let's go ahead and dive into the secret to creating a flatter and a stronger stomach after baby. Now, you're probably familiar with the rectus abdominis, which is your six-pack abs. It's responsible for flexing your spine. Some of you are probably also familiar with your obliques, which are responsible for spinal rotation, but probably only a few of you are familiar with your transverse abdominis, and probably even fewer of you actually know how to connect to and properly engage your transverse. If you have back pain at all, you likely have a weak transverse abdominis. If you have diastasis, or if you struggle with hemorrhoids or prolapse, or if you leak when you cough or sneeze, laugh, run, or jump, you likely have a weak transverse abdominis. While your transverse is arguably the most important of your abdominal muscles, it's often the weakest in most people. It is responsible for really holding everything in together nice and tight, and for decompressing and stabilizing your spine. But there's one more function of the transverse abdominis, and that is that it aids in a full exhalation of the lungs, which means one of the best ways to learn how to reconnect with, engage, and strengthen your transverse abdominis is to practice proper breathing. I'm going to walk you through 3 breathing exercises that are safe to do immediately postpartum. As soon as that baby is born, you can start practicing this to help strengthen your transverse and bring your diastasis back together, essentially breathing your way to a flatter and stronger stomach. Now, as you become more familiar with and proficient at engaging these muscles and while maintaining proper spinal alignment, you can move to kneeling and even to standing. But to begin, go ahead and start by lying flat on the ground. It's not uncommon to sometimes feel a little lightheaded because your body likely is not used to being fully oxygenated, and I'll explain in just a minute. So when you first start these exercises, it is common if you feel a little lightheaded, and laying down will reduce any risk of falling. Okay, so the first exercise is learning how to take a deep diaphragmatic breath. So to begin, go ahead and place one hand over your chest, other hand over your abdomen. Take a deep inhale in through the nose and allow your chest to rise while keeping your abdomen still. Shallow chest breathing can contribute to feelings of stress, anxiety, or hypertension because it utilizes the upper lobes of our lungs, which are less efficient at oxygenating, and it also stimulates our sympathetic nervous system. Chest breathing like this also forgoes utilizing the diaphragm to really pull down on the lungs to make room for new air, and it actually relies on using your accessory breathing muscles found in your neck, your chest, and your upper back to help to lift the rib cage up to make room for new air, instead of using the diaphragm to really pull down and the intercostals to help the ribs to expand, making room for air. This, along with not getting the proper amount of oxygen, because remember you're using those upper lobes for oxygenation, which are less efficient, it also can contribute to feelings of tension, tightness, and soreness in those muscles because they're not supposed to be doing that job to begin with. Most of us need to move away from this type of breathing and really master a deep diaphragmatic breath, which we're going to practice next. Go ahead and take another deep inhale in through the nose, but this time allow your belly to distend outward while keeping your chest still. This diaphragmatic breathing utilizes the diaphragm to pull down on the lungs, making way for new air into the lower lobes of the lungs, which means more oxygen is being delivered to your organs and other tissues of the body. So now let's practice engaging your transverse with your breathing. As I previously mentioned, your transverse aids in a full exhalation of the lungs. So in order to activate your transverse abdominis, I really need you to hiss out every last little bit of air that's inside of your lung. You should actually make an audible sound as you expel the air out of your lungs, and maybe you even start to quiver a little bit at the end. Building upon the last technique is to learn how to maintain transverse engagement while you inhale and exhale. Your abs are a very dynamic group of muscles that work to stabilize and support your spine, but they also work as sort of a shield for your internal organs. There's no bones here. I mean, there's your rib cage, but there's no bones right over your abdomen. And so there's nothing protecting your most vital organs or that growing baby. So your abs can actually tighten and they harden to form kind of a shield to protect your vital organs. If someone were to sucker punch you in the gut, your stomach would tighten. So instead of asking you to let someone repeatedly, sucker punch you in the gut, we are going to practice the snap technique. Begin by taking a deep diaphragmatic inhale. On the exhale, I want you to forcefully exhale completely and activate your transverse by imagining that you just got sucker punched in the gut. Hold that contraction for about 3 seconds and then return to your neutral state and repeat. As you get more proficient in this exercise, you can increase the speed or the rate at which you do this, but start off slow. This final exercise that I want to teach you is going to tie everything together, and it's your 360 core canister breath. In order for you to get benefit from any of these exercises, but especially this last one, you need to understand the concept of pressurization. I want you to imagine that your abdomen is like a 3-story building with interconnected floors. And I know that doesn't really make sense, but use your imagination, okay? You have 3 floors stacked on top of each other, and they're all interconnected. Whatever happens in one room affects the other. These floors are your thoracic cavity, your abdominal cavity, and your pelvic cavity. Now, the main players in each of these rooms is your diaphragm, your abs, and specifically that transverse, and your pelvic floor. When you inhale, that diaphragm contracts down on the lungs to make way for new air coming in, but that changes the pressure of your abdominal cavity. Without strong transverse and pelvic floor engagement, that pressure can only go out, which can cause damage to the linea alba or other weak areas in the core, creating or complicating diastasis or other hernia-like conditions, or it can go down, causing or complicating hemorrhoids or prolapse if you have a weak pelvic floor. Synchronizing a strong transverse and pelvic floor engagement with your breath increases the pressure in your abdomen without allowing it to press out or down. Instead, it creates the most PSIs, as it were, within your abdomen, which actually help to decompress and stabilize the spine, giving you the most spinal protection. Think of it as like adding air to your tire. In a new tire with solid trim, you can add the maximum amount of air or pressure to that tire, which will increase the PSIs, and you'll get the maximum lift off the ground or the decompression of the spine, and it makes that bike or that car safe to drive without damaging or injuring the rim, which your spine in this analogy. The appropriate application of maximum pressure in your abdomen that makes it safe to engage in any sport or activity without fear of injury. So to do the 360 core canister breath, you need to begin by taking a diaphragmatic inhale. As you exhale, snap your abs back and hold that contraction. This is the difference. Never release that snap. As you inhale, maintain the snap and allow your ribs to expand all directions, hence 360 breathing. Unless you are lying in bed, you need to learn how to maintain this core engagement at all times, forever and always. Amen. If you're having difficulty connecting to and engaging your transverse, a simple device like this is a breath trainer, can help you to engage to your abdomen. This is used by free divers to help improve and increase their lung capacity. You just stick it in your mouth and you can adjust the valve to increase or decrease the resistance of your exhale, which is going to really require that you use your transverse to expel the air. I think I got mine on Amazon for like $10 or $15. I'll leave a link in the description box below where you can get it. It is well worth the investment. Again, you can do this while you're nap trapped or something with your baby, and you can literally breathe your way to healing your diastasis. Proper breathing is just the beginning. If you have tried program after program and workout after workout and you've never been able to get the definition or the results that you wanted from an exercise program, regardless of how hard or how consistent you were and how good your diet was, it's probable that you do not have proper alignment elsewhere in the body. If you don't maintain proper alignment in exercise, you're not going to be recruiting the right muscles. You're going to start using all these compensation muscles, just like with breathing. When you're not breathing with your diaphragm, your accessory muscles kick in. You might be performing a movement that looks like a squat, but if you don't maintain proper spinal alignment, you have that neutral spine, having that slight external rotation in your hips, you might do something that looks like a squat, but functionally you're nowhere near a squat, which is why you're not getting the results that you want, and instead you have low back pain, possible knee and ankle or hip pain as well. I'm right there with you. This was my problem too. I struggled with low back pain, hip and knee and ankle pain. After my second baby was born, that VBAC, I decided I was too young to be feeling this old, and I didn't want that typical mommy pooch or that mommy butt, and I wanted to be able to get the results that I worked so hard for in my exercises. When I switched my focus on fitness to a more functional approach, I discovered MoveU. MoveU is an online membership with over 13 different programs that train you and they retrain your muscle memory on how to move functionally for the purpose of eliminating chronic pain and getting the most out of any exercise that you want. The MoveU methodology emphasizes proper alignment for maximum strength potential. I'll leave a link below where you can begin your free trial, and if at the end of your free trial you decide that you want to enroll in their membership, I'll also leave you a link to my special code where you can get 20% off your membership. If you found value in this video, please be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you're notified anytime I upload a video. I also love hearing from my viewers, so please be sure to leave a comment or question below.